Evening, friends. Tonight, you're not watching winter from a warm room. You're living it. You're standing in the cold bite of a November afternoon, somewhere in the Kentucky wilderness, maybe 1823, and the sky has that iron grey weight that means the first real snow is hours away, not days. Your hands are already numb, your breath visible, and inside that rough cabin behind you, 7 people are depending on choices you made months ago. The meat you cured in August, the wood you split in July, the gaps you chinked between those logs last week. This isn't a story about pioneers. This is about you, right now, in a moment when survival isn't guaranteed. When letting the fire die means your youngest might not wake up. When running out of food in February means decisions no parent should ever face. Good thing this isn't your life, right? So, before we step into this together, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. I love seeing this community stretch across the world. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your fingers are stiff with cold as you press the clay mixture into the gap between 2 logs. You've been at this for 3 days now, and your knuckles are scraped raw from the bark, blood dried in the cracks of your skin. But you keep working because you can feel it. That change in the air that means winter is finished being polite. The wind comes from the northwest now, steady and sharp, and it finds every crack in your cabin walls like water finds the lowest ground. You crouch near the base of the north wall, where the draft is worst, and push another double handful of chinking into the space. The mixture is cold and gritty, clay from the creek bank, dried moss from the oak grove, and hog hair from last month's slaughter. The hair holds it together like tiny threads woven through the clay. Some families use corn cobs, some use dried grass, and you've heard that out on the plains they use buffalo chips. But this is what you have: clay, moss, and the coarse bristles of hogs. You work it deep, feeling it squish between your fingers, then smooth the surface with your thumb. There are 47 gaps on this wall alone. You counted them yesterday. Your neighbor Jacob rode by 2 days ago, mentioned he's using oakum this year, old rope fibers soaked in pine tar for his chinking. Swears it won't crack like clay does. He's probably right. But oakum costs money, real money, and you're still paying off the land. So clay it is. You move to the next gap, this one near the corner where 2 walls meet. And you think about the notching, the way you cut these logs back in June, the way you fitted them together. That determines everything now. Good notching means tight joints. Tight joints mean less chinking. Less chinking means less cold air. You're not a master yet. You've seen builders whose notches fit so perfectly you barely need any chinking at all. But you're learning. This corner isn't bad. 2-finger gap, maybe less. You pack the clay carefully, knowing this spot will take the worst of the winter winds. Inside the cabin, you hear the steady rhythm of your wife at the loom. Clack, clack, clack. She's been weaving since September, making linsey woolsey, that rough fabric that's part linen, part wool. Sometimes a bit of cotton if you're fortunate. Every person in the family needs new layers. The children grew over summer, and last year's clothes won't cover them properly now. Your oldest daughter is carding wool, combing the fibers straight, her small hands moving with the patience of someone who knows this work matters. Your wife will spin it into yarn, weave it into fabric, cut and sew it into clothing. The scraps become patches, the patches become rags, the rags become fire starters. Nothing is wasted. You've got 4 sheep, and every bit of their fleece goes toward keeping your family warm through the months ahead. Knitted mittens, extra petticoats for the girls to layer under their skirts, a new hat for you, because your old one has a hole big enough to lose your dignity through. You straighten up, feel your spine crack, and look at what you finished. 3 sections of wall. The sun is lower now, painting the clearing in that particular gold that won't last much longer. In a few weeks, the days will shrink down to almost nothing, the sun barely clearing the tree line before it starts its descent again. You think about firewood. You're always thinking about firewood. The stack beside the cabin represents months of work. Cutting, hauling, splitting, stacking. The rule everyone shares is 20 cords for a winter, 20 cords. Picture a stack 8 feet long, 4 feet high, 4 feet deep. Now multiply that by 20. That's what it takes to keep a frontier family alive from November to March. Some say 40 cords if you want to be truly safe, but that feels impossible. You've got 18 cords stacked and drying under the lean-to. It has to be enough. Each log split to let the moisture out. Wet wood gives you smoke and almost no heat. Your hands are more callous than skin now. You move to the east wall, where 2 logs warped over the summer. The gap between them is wide enough to fit your whole hand through. You can actually see daylight on the other side. This is going to take a lot of chinking. You scoop out more clay mixture and start packing it in, working from the bottom up, pressing hard. As your hands work, your mind drifts to the fireplace. It's the center of everything. Cooking, warmth, light, life. You've positioned a massive backlog at the rear of the firebox, a green oak log thick as your waist. If you're careful, if you manage it right, that log will last 2 weeks before it burns through. The trick is keeping it smoldering slow, never letting it fully catch. In front of it, you stack smaller logs and kindling. The heat radiates forward, gets absorbed by the stone, slowly warms the space. At night, you'll bank the coals, bury them in ash, so they stay alive but don't burn hot. And in the morning, you can coax them back to flame without starting from scratch. Historians still argue whether the backlog technique was universal or regional, but every family you know uses one. Letting the fire die completely in January is a mistake you make exactly once. Your youngest son appears around the corner of the cabin, dragging a wooden bucket that's almost as big as he is. He's 7, small for his age, but learning to be useful. "Pa, Mama says the water barrel's low." You nod. Another task. The spring is a 10-minute walk through the woods, and you'll need to haul water multiple times before the ground freezes hard. Some families have wells, but you're not there yet. Year 3, maybe year 4, you'll dig one. For now, it's buckets from the spring, and come deep winter, it's melting snow in pots by the fire. You touch the boy's head gently, leaving a streak of clay in his hair, and he grins before running back inside. The cabin has one window. Not glass, you can't afford glass, but greased paper stretched tight over a wooden frame. It lets in a dim, yellowish light and keeps out most of the wind. When the real cold comes, you'll close the wooden shutters over it entirely, and the cabin will go dark, lit only by firelight and the occasional tallow candle. It will smell like smoke and bodies and drying herbs and the chamber pot that can't be emptied when snow is waist-deep outside. It will be cramped and close, and some days you'll ache for fresh air, for space, for silence. But it will be warm, mostly. The corners will stay cold, and frost will form on the inside of the walls on the worst nights. But the center space near the fire will be bearable. You'll survive. You finish the east wall and move to the south side. This wall is better, fewer gaps, tighter notching. You work methodically, gap by gap, smoothing each section with care. The clay will dry hard over the next few days, and if you're fortunate, it will hold until spring. Some will crack during freeze-thaw cycles, especially in February, and you'll repair it then. But that's a problem for future you. Right now, you're focused on December. Inside, something smells good. Your wife has started the evening stew, dried beans soaking since morning, a bit of salt pork from the barrel in the cellar, dried herbs, a few carrots from the garden that are starting to wrinkle. It's thin compared to summer meals, but it's hot and filling. Tomorrow, maybe cornbread, if the meal holds out. The corn was ground at the settlement mill, 10 miles east, and you've got 2 sacks stored. Cornbread and salt pork. Salt pork and cornbread. That rhythm will carry you through until March, along with potatoes from the root cellar, if they don't rot. You stored them carefully, brushed the dirt off but didn't wash them, layered them in crates with straw between each layer, kept them in the coldest, darkest corner of the cellar. Done right, they'll last 5 months, maybe 8. The light is fading fast now, that quick autumn fade where you suddenly have 20 minutes before it's too dark to see. You pack the last gaps on the south wall, then step back. It's not beautiful, but it's functional. That's the frontier. Function over beauty, survival over style. You gather your tools and head inside, where the fire crackles and your family gathers close. Your oldest daughter sets out wooden bowls. Your wife ladles stew. The younger children argue about who sits nearest the fire. This is your world, these walls, these people, this light against the gathering dark. Somewhere beyond these walls, winter is coming down from the north. You've done everything you know how to do. The rest is endurance and faith and the hope that when spring finally comes, it finds you all still here, still together, still alive. And so the days pass, each one shorter than the last, as November becomes December and the first real snows begin. You watch them through the greased paper window, those heavy flakes drifting down silent and steady, and you think about the firewood stacked outside, the meat hanging in the smokehouse, the vegetables buried in straw beneath the cabin floor. You've prepared as well as you can. Now it's just time. Long, cold, quiet time, stretching ahead. Some nights after the children are asleep, curled together under layers of wool and homespun, you and your wife sit close to the fire and speak softly about next year, about the well you'll dig, about adding a second room, about the apple trees you'll plant when the ground thaws. These are the thoughts that carry you through, the promise that it gets easier, that each year builds on the last, that you're creating something that will outlast this winter and the next. Outside, the forest has gone still under its blanket of white. The animals have denned or flown south. The creek freezes at its edges. Everything settles into waiting. And inside your cabin, the fire burns steady, a small bright point against the vast cold. Your breathing slows. The day's work settles into your bones. And somewhere between waking and sleep, you feel something close to peace. You made it through another day. Tomorrow, you'll do it again. Rest well, friend. Until next time.